Hey everyone, I got a chance to play the new Adipower Carbon Team Paddle. If you want to hear about it, stay tuned. So thank you Adidas for sending us this paddle for this review. This paddle review is sponsored by Adidas. Now Adidas has made a really good move in the pickleball market. They have been partnering with a company called All Racket Sports, who is the top manufacturer of the Adidas Padel paddle, the top selling Padel paddle in the world. And they are bringing their technology and their innovation into pickleball. So this is just a couple of their base models. This is the lower end model. This is the Adipower Carbon Team. Let me tell you about what this paddle is and what it's not. So this paddle is not a high spinning paddle. This paddle is right around the mid-tier, around 1,600 RPMs on the spin chart. So top spinning paddles are around 2,300. Low spinning paddles are around 1,000 RPMs. This guy's right in the middle, around 1,600. So if you're a swiper of the ball, you like to swipe up, this paddle is not going to grab the ball and make it dip for you. But it is still mid-tier. So on driving shots, it will dip for you. You can get enough movement out of it if that's not your primary focus when you're playing pickleball. One of the different things they've done here, they've got the 3K carbon fiber on the underneath side, and then they've got a carbon reinforced frame. So it's not thermoformed, but it's still carbon reinforced framed. It's got EVA foam in the handles. It makes the paddle feel really nice when you're hitting shots with it. And you can tell that this is a very sturdily framed paddle. It is around 7.8 to 8.2 ounces, 16 millimeter core, 16.5 by 7.5. So all the normal standards that you're used to with the 3K carbon fiber overlay, and they do some kind of sandblasting on the surface. So you take a look at the microscope picture here, you can see that they've done something different with the surface, and my understanding is that ones that are hitting the shelves right now have a really good sandblasted surface, so I think that this will have a little bit higher spin rate than the model I have right here. This one is just the base model, not the ones that they're going to be selling here shortly. So I assume it'll have a little bit more spin than what I'm going to give in this review. On any other swiping shots, not the best for that, but let's talk about what this paddle is. This is more of a stiff paddle. It is very good construction in the frame, not a whole lot of flex. The ball does not dwell on this paddle long. So it is really good pop off the face of this paddle. So I found that it's a really good mix and a really neat feel when you're playing it because it feels very controllable, but you can feel that the ball feels crisper coming off of the face of this. So it's not really muted feeling on this. So I think it's a good job for the feel and knowing where the ball is actually hitting on the paddle. One of the marketing things about this paddle is the length of the handle. So if we look at the length of this handle, this guy here boasts a 5.5 inch handle. Well, that 5.5 inch handle stops here because that's where they wrap it. But if you look, you have all the way up to here to grab onto the paddle. And look at the measurement here. I got a picture of here. I got a picture of this paddle with a measurement. This thing's almost 7 inches. So this is by far the most comfortable two-handed backhand I've ever had in a paddle. It is by far comfortable here. I could even not have to have my hand all the way up on the paddle. That's how much room I have on this. And I'm not even grabbing all the way down here on the end. If I wanted to grab here down on the end, I could get a two-handed backhand without my finger up on this, no problem with this paddle. So it says 5.5 inches, but I got to tell you, this is the most comfortable two-handed backhand. I am not a two-handed backhand person. But when I put my hands on this paddle to hit the two-handed backhand, because I have to hit it to give you a good review on what it feels like, this is the most comfortable two-handed backhand I've ever hit. It made me want to hit a two-handed backhand when I picked up this paddle with the length of this handle. So really incredible on the handle length size. And but let's talk about what this paddle does in all the different shots. So I thought that this was a really well-rounded paddle. When I say well-rounded, meaning that I could hit every shot the way I wanted to hit it, but it does excel in some of the shots that I want to hit, but I typically don't because most of my paddles are not attacking paddles. I play very defensively. I'm very much a reset guy. I'm one of those just steady guys that will just keep resetting back into the kitchen on you and force you to beat me in the soft game. So I'm not very offensive in my shot selection. Well, this paddle here, it has all the touch in the world. So in the kitchen, I was able to do the work I needed to do. In the no man's land, just resetting from there. Third shot drops. This paddle can hit all the shots. It hits it very comfortable. You don't really have to work that hard with this paddle. Where I think this paddle accelerates is its power and its pop on top of the control. So I would not call this a power paddle. I would call this a really good all-rounder because the pop and the power, it has both of those. Now, typically when the driving shots, this is what we, several of us on YouTube have been really just focusing on the differentiators between the power and the pop. Power is driving shots, full swings. That's where your power comes from. You're getting your hips and your body involved. And pop would be your half volleys, things that you're doing at the kitchen, half volleys from no man's land, really quick, punchy, poppy shots. That's what we would call pop. This paddle accelerates in both of those. This is one of the more powerful paddles I've played without losing the control. So I thought that this paddle really performed well when it came to the powerful shots in pickleball. So the drives, the third shot drives, the fifth shot drives, any kind of drives, I felt like I could put a lot of heat on this ball with this paddle. And then the pops in hand battles, I felt like I was able to really put pressure on my opponent when I was getting into hand battles with it. And I like the feel of this paddle. So the feel of the ball coming off the paddle face, it feels really good. It's got a very wide sweet spot. Like the sweet spot can go all the way out very, very close to the edge. I felt like it didn't lose much. Like you can see here that it's still going where it's supposed to go. All the way down here into the handle area, I can still get the paddle going, the ball going where it needs to go, all the way down in the handle area, and then all the way out here on the end. So like this whole paddle feels really controllable, but with the extra pop you get at the net, extra pop you get from the baseline, man, I think this is a really good all-around paddle. So I typically play my paddles at around 8.4, 8.5. This one playing stock did not feel bad to me at the 7.8 to 8.2 range. So I probably would add a little bit of lead tape to the end here just to put a little bit more pop on it and take that sweet spot even a little bit bigger. So I would recommend, all four corners. If you're kind of like in that 8.5 range, take a little bit of lead tape, put it in all four corners. That'll make this the sweet spot the size of Texas. One other thing about the handle is the handle's a little bit more blocky. So if you don't like square handles, you might not like this paddle. If you like square handles with good bevels, this reminds me of a paddle or a tennis racket. This feels more like that to me. It's got decent bevels on it. You can see here, looking at the bevels, it's got really good bevels on it and a really good shape in it. So because of the length of the handle, it feels a little bit more like it's good for those that are crossing over from tennis or racquetball. This paddle will feel really comfortable in your hands. But that's the only thing I can say about the grip. If you don't like blocky grips, this is more square than some others. But the good thing about this grip is only 4.25 inches. So even with this overwrap on it, it doesn't feel too big to me. So at 4.25 though, for ladies that have smaller hands, you can always take this grip off and just put an overwrap on here, and that'll make it even smaller, more like 4.1/8 inch handle, so very much more comfortable for smaller hands. I think the look of this paddle is kind of cool. I like the logo here with the color scheme on it. It's a nice looking paddle. I think it's always important to have a paddle that you like to look at when you're playing. But anyway, I think it's a decent paddle. Retails for $160. With our discount, you get a 10% discount on us. So at $142, this paddle's affordable, and it is a good quality paddle, especially for those coming from tennis, racquetball, and love the two-handed backhand. This is a good paddle for you to give it a shot. So you can look for our discount below in the description. Thank you for those of you that are using our code. That helps us keep the lights on. And if you don't like Adidas and want to check out some other brands, check these out. Yeah. Good brand.